primary grounding wire is sized for the fault current that can flow from the primary side of the transformer to ground. This fault current is equal to the primary phase current, which is 200 amps. According to Table 250.122 of the National Electrical Code, a 1/0 AWG copper conductor can handle a maximum continuous current of 235 amps. Therefore, the 1/0 AWG primary grounding wire is adequately sized to handle the fault current of 200 amps. The secondary grounding wire size was not specified. However, it must be properly sized to handle the maximum fault current that can flow from the secondary side of the transformer to ground. The maximum fault current in the secondary circuit is equal to the secondary phase current, which is 1200 amps. According to Table 250.122 of the NEC, a 3/0 AWG copper conductor can handle a maximum continuous current of 300 amps. Therefore, a 3/0 AWG grounding wire would be required for the secondary circuit. In conclusion, the 1/0 AWG primary grounding wire is adequately sized for the 12,470 volt 200 amp line. However, the secondary grounding wire has not been provided. Based on the information given, a 3/0 AWG grounding wire would be required for the secondary circuit. Grounding is a critical safety measure in electrical systems, providing a low impedance path for fault currents to return to the source, thereby facilitating the operation of overcurrent protection devices like circuit breakers or fuses. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides guidelines for proper grounding techniques to ensure safety and prevent electrical hazards. When dealing with transformers, it is essential to understand the grounding requirements for both the primary and secondary sides. Grounding the primary side involves connecting the neutral point of the power source to earth, typically at the service entrance. The size of the grounding conductor for the primary side is determined by the size of the incoming service conductors, as specified in NEC Table 250.122. This table provides minimum conductor sizes based on the rating of the overcurrent protection device protecting the primary conductors. For example, if the primary conductors are protected by a 200 amp circuit breaker, the grounding conductor must be at least an 8 AWG copper or 6 AWG aluminum conductor. Grounding the secondary side of a transformer involves establishing a connection between the neutral point of the secondary winding and earth. This grounding connection is crucial for limiting voltage to ground and providing a low impedance path for fault currents. The size of the grounding conductor for the secondary side is determined by the size of the secondary conductors and the type of grounding system used. For a separately derived system, such as a transformer, the grounding electrode conductor is sized according to NEC Table 250.66 based on the size of the derived and grounded conductors. In addition to the grounding electrode conductor, the secondary side also requires a bonding jumper to connect the equipment grounding conductors to the grounded conductor at the source, which is the transformer. This bonding jumper ensures that all metallic parts of the electrical system are effectively bonded together, providing a low impedance path for fault currents. The size of the bonding jumper is determined by NEC Table 250.102. based on the size of the derived and grounded conductors. It is important to note that the grounding requirements for transformers can vary depending on the specific application and the type of grounding system used. For example, in some cases, it may be necessary to use a separately derived system with a dedicated grounding electrode system. In other cases, it may be permissible to use a common grounding electrode system for multiple transformers. When sizing grounding conductors for transformers, it is essential to consider the potential fault current that could flow through the grounding system. The fault current is the maximum current that could flow in the event of a short circuit or ground fault. The grounding system must be capable of safely carrying this fault current without overheating or causing a fire hazard. The NEC provides guidance on calculating fault currents and selecting appropriate grounding conductors to handle these currents. It is also important to ensure that the grounding conductors are properly installed and maintained. Grounding conductors should be protected from physical damage and corrosion, and they should be securely connected to the grounding electrodes and equipment grounding conductors. Regular inspections should be conducted to ensure that the grounding system is in good working order and that all connections are tight and secure. In summary, proper grounding is essential for electrical safety and preventing electrical hazards. When dealing with transformers, it is crucial to understand the grounding requirements for both the primary and secondary sides, including the sizing of grounding conductors, bonding jumpers, and grounding electrodes. By following the guidelines provided in the NEC and ensuring that the grounding system is properly installed and maintained, one can significantly reduce the risk of electrical shock, fire, and equipment damage. The goal of grounding is to provide a path for fault current to return to the source, allowing overcurrent protection devices to operate and clear the fault. Without proper grounding, fault currents can take unintended paths through equipment and personnel, leading to dangerous touch voltages and potential hazards. Grounding also helps to stabilize system voltage and reduce electrical noise, improving the performance and reliability of electrical equipment. In addition to grounding conductors, bonding is another important aspect of electrical safety. Bonding involves connecting all metallic parts of the electrical system together to create an equipotential plane. This ensures that there are no voltage differences between different metallic parts, reducing the risk of electric shock. Bonding is typically achieved by connecting metal conduits, enclosures, and equipment grounding conductors together using bonding jumpers or bonding screws. The size of the bonding jumpers is determined by NEC Table 250.102, based on the size of the circuit conductors. It is important to ensure that all bonding connections are tight and secure to provide a low impedance path for fault currents. Grounding electrodes are used to connect the grounding system to the earth, providing a reference point for voltage and dissipating fault currents into the ground. The NEC specifies various types of grounding electrodes that can be used, including metal underground water pipes, concrete encased electrodes, ground rings, and rod and pipe electrodes. The choice of grounding electrode depends on the soil conditions and the availability of suitable electrodes. The NEC also specifies the minimum size and installation requirements for grounding electrodes. For example, the ground rod must be at least 8 feet long and driven into the ground until at least 8 feet of its length is in contact with the soil. The resistance of the grounding electrode system should be as low as possible, ideally 25 ohms or less. If the resistance is higher than 25 ohms, additional grounding electrodes may be required. Regular testing of the grounding electrode system is recommended to ensure that it is functioning properly. The test involves measuring the resistance between the grounding electrode and remote earth using a ground resistance tester. If the resistance is too high, the grounding electrode system should be inspected and repaired or replaced as necessary. In addition to the NEC, other standards and regulations may apply to grounding systems depending on the specific application and location. For example, industrial facilities may be subject to additional grounding requirements to protect sensitive electronic equipment from electrical noise and interference. Healthcare facilities have stringent grounding requirements to ensure the safety of patients and medical personnel. It is important to be aware of all applicable standards and regulations when designing and installing grounding systems. Proper grounding is not only essential for safety, but also for compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. Failure to comply with grounding requirements can result in fines, penalties, and even legal liability in the event of an accident or injury. Therefore, it is crucial to take grounding seriously and ensure that all grounding systems are properly designed, installed, and maintained. Grounding and bonding are complex subjects with many nuances and variations. It is important to consult with qualified electrical professionals to ensure that grounding systems are designed and installed correctly. Electrical engineers, electricians, and inspectors can provide valuable expertise and guidance on grounding issues. They can also perform inspections and tests to verify that grounding systems are in compliance with applicable standards and regulations. In conclusion, grounding is a critical aspect of electrical safety that should never be overlooked. By understanding the principles of grounding and following the guidelines provided in the NEC and other applicable standards, we can significantly reduce the risk of electrical hazards and protect people and property from harm. Grounding is not just a matter of connecting wires to earth. It is a comprehensive system that requires careful planning, design, installation, and maintenance. It is an investment in safety and reliability that pays dividends in the long run. It is also important to remember that electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving, so it is important to stay up to date on the latest requirements and best practices. Continuing education and training are essential for electrical professionals to maintain their knowledge and skills in the area of grounding and bonding. The NEC is updated every 3 years, and each new edition may include significant changes to the grounding requirements. It is important to review the latest edition of the NEC and understand any changes that may affect existing or new electrical installations. In addition to the NEC, other organizations, such as the IEE and the IEC, also publish standards and guidelines on grounding and bonding. These standards may provide more detailed information on specific aspects of grounding, such as surge protection and electromagnetic compatibility. It is important to be familiar with these standards and use them as a resource when designing and installing grounding systems. Grounding is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It requires careful consideration of the specific application and the potential hazards involved. A well-designed grounding system can significantly reduce the risk of electrical shock, fire, and equipment damage. However, a poorly designed or improperly installed grounding system can be worse than no grounding at all. Therefore, it is essential to take grounding seriously and ensure that all grounding systems are properly designed, installed, and maintained. Grounding is an integral part of any electrical system, and it should be treated with the same level of importance as other critical components such as circuit breakers, transformers, and wiring. Just as we would not compromise on the quality or safety of these components, we should not compromise on the quality or safety of the grounding system. Grounding is an investment in safety and reliability that pays dividends in the long run. It is a fundamental principle of electrical engineering that should be understood and practiced by all electrical professionals. The effectiveness of a grounding system is highly dependent on the quality of the connections. Loose or corroded connections can significantly increase the impedance of the grounding path, reducing its ability to conduct fault current. Therefore, it is important to use high-quality connectors and ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Regular inspections should be conducted to check for loose or corroded connections and to make any necessary repairs. The type of soil in which the grounding electrode is installed can also affect the performance of the grounding system. Soil resistivity is a measure of how well the soil conducts electricity. Soils with high resistivity, such as sandy or rocky soils, require larger or more numerous grounding electrodes to achieve the desired grounding resistance. Soil resistivity can vary significantly depending on the location and the moisture content of the soil. It is important to take soil resistivity into account when designing a grounding system. In some cases, it may be necessary to use soil enhancement techniques such as adding conductive materials to the soil to improve its conductivity. Surge protection is another important aspect of grounding. Surge protection devices, or SPDs, are used to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges caused by lightning or other transient events. SPD work by diverting surge current to ground, preventing it from damaging sensitive electronic equipment. SPD should be installed at the service entrance and at any critical equipment locations. The effectiveness of SPD depends on the quality of the grounding system. A low impedance grounding path is essential for SPD to function properly. Therefore, it is important to ensure that the grounding system is properly designed and installed before installing SPD. Electromagnetic compatibility, or ENC, is another area where grounding plays an important role. EMC refers to the ability of electrical equipment to function properly in the presence of electromagnetic interference. Grounding can help to reduce electromagnetic interference by providing a low impedance path for noise currents to return to the source. Proper grounding techniques, such as using shielded cables and grounding enclosures, can help to minimize electromagnetic interference and improve the performance of electrical equipment. Grounding is a complex and multifaceted topic that requires a thorough understanding of electrical principles and applicable codes and standards. It is essential for electrical professionals to stay up to date on the latest developments in grounding technology and to continuously improve their knowledge and skills in this area. Grounding is not just a job, it is a responsibility to ensure the safety of people and property.